Hi, Apple. Wow, you're here very early today. Happy Saturday. Okay, it looks like we're still waiting for some people to join, so we'll just wait for a moment. I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. Hello. Please say yes if you can hear me. Can you hear me? So if you can hear me, please say yes. So just type in the comments. Hi, Kibyang. Hi, Kwang-san. You can see me? Perfect. Okay. So welcome to our English chat for today. I think we have some new students. So if you haven't seen me before, my name's Keeva. And our topic for today's class is weddings. So the reason that I chose this topic is because there are so many differences between weddings in Korea and weddings in the West. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and just introduce some vocabulary that we can also use in relation to weddings. So first of all, in today's class, I'm going to be just going over some key vocabulary that we usually use in relation to the wedding ceremony and the people who are involved. And after that, we will have some discussion questions. And then I'm going to be doing a gap fill vocabulary activity as always. And so you guys will have the chance to learn some new words and idioms and expressions. Hi, Bob. And after that, we are going to have a trivia competition. So I have some fun questions related to weddings. And you guys are going to compete to win the prize. So I'll let you know a little bit later what that is, but let's get started on that basic vocabulary. So the first one, a bride. So I'm hoping that most of you know what bride means. So a bride, of course, is a woman on her wedding day. So coming up to the wedding day, like a week before, we would also refer to this lady as the bride. So a woman on her wedding day or just before the event. So can anyone tell me the word for a man on his wedding day? So the bride is a woman. What is a man? Can anyone answer for me quickly? No one is answering. Maybe I'll have to give you guys the answer. So the bride is the woman. The man is the groom. Thank you, Bob. So bride and groom. So the groom is a man on his wedding day. So usually in the West, the bride has a number of helpers. So usually a group of females who accompany her on her wedding day. And they have a lot of special duties. For example, helping her with her hair and makeup, planning her parties like bridal showers before the wedding. And we call these ladies bridesmaids. So usually the bridesmaids are either family members or friends of the bride. Very good, Kwang-san. So usually there is one most important bridesmaid, and we call her the maid of honor. So usually there'll be like 4 or 5 women that the bride will choose to be her helpers on her wedding day. And the male equivalent are called groomsmen. So the groomsmen, again, are the men who help the groom on his wedding day. So this can be 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on the groom. He chooses these men. And usually they all wear similar suits. And again, they help him to plan things like bachelor party. So yeah, Bob, there is usually one best man. So just like in the group of bridesmaids, the most important one is called the maid of honor. In all the groomsmen, the most important one is called the best man. So usually he is, for example, the groom's best friend, or it can be maybe his brother, for example. So yeah, we can also say bridegroom Sunglim instead of groom. So groom is just a shorter version. Okay, great. Okay, and just a couple more. So the parents of someone's partner, Batman, Apple, I don't think so. So we can say parents-in-law or in-laws. So they are also quite a focal part of the wedding. They're not as important in the West as they are in Korean weddings. But if I'm getting married, my husband's parents are called my parents-in-law. But often for short, we'll just say my in-laws. So I can say mother-in-law, father-in-law, if I'm talking about them individually. I can call them collectively my parents-in-law, or often when we're talking about them casually, informally, we would say our in-laws. So the in-laws are the parents of one's partner. And I know that in Korean weddings, like I've been to a couple of Korean weddings, and there is an MC who kind of officiates the ceremony, but we do not have an MC in the West. We would have either a priest or a celebrant. So depending on whether the couple are getting married in a church or in a non-religious place. So if they're getting married in a church, for example, the Catholic Church, usually we would say the priest or vicar or reverend. If the person who is saying the wedding and officiating it is not a religious person, we would call that person a celebrant. So for example, some people don't have any religion, so they choose to get married in maybe City Hall or in a non-religious place, for example, a hotel. So the person in that case who officiates the wedding is called a celebrant. So the person who performs the wedding ceremony. So we do not have MCs in the West. So I've heard of like friends getting married and the MC will say, oh, this person is a graduate of Yonsei University, and like telling the guests about their accomplishments. This doesn't happen in the West. There's a very strict procedure. And there's no talk of like the couple's personal lives or their academic accomplishments. So now that we've got started on the basic vocabulary, we're going to do a quick discussion. So first of all, question number 1, have you watched any wedding movies in English? What is your favorite? So in the West, it's very popular to have movies related to weddings or the planning of the wedding, or bachelor parties, bachelorette parties. So I'm curious to know if you guys have seen any of those in English and which one do you particularly like. So I have a few favorites which I'll recommend to you. So 4 funerals and 1 wedding. So Sunglim, I think it's called 4 weddings and a funeral. Yeah, this is a very, very popular one. This is one of the most classic wedding movies that we have. So we say 4 weddings and a funeral. Okay, anyone else? I don't think I've ever seen, I watch quite a lot of Korean movies, but I've never seen a Korean movie based on a wedding. Derry? Kwangsan, I don't know this one. Is this the English name? I'm not familiar with that movie. So while you guys are telling me, I'm going to recommend some of my favorites. Mamma Mia. Bob, this is your favorite? Some people love Mamma Mia. Personally, I really hate it. So I love ABBA. So I really thought that I would love this movie. But for me, it's a little bit too, we say too cheesy. So it's like, sorry, yeah, cheesy. So it's like too overly romantic and it's difficult for me to watch it. Bridget Jones' Diary, Apple. Okay, great. Hi, Rose. So I'll give you guys some recommendations. These are my 3 favorites. The first one is Bride Wars. And this is kind of like a rom-com, a romantic comedy. about two best friends who want to get married in the same venue. So this is quite a funny movie. We kind of have a nickname for these kind of brides that go crazy when preparing for the wedding. We call them bridezillas. So bridezilla comes from the dinosaur Godzilla. So there's kind of like an image in the West of a bride preparing for her wedding day, and she gets like kind of really anxious and psycho, and she's really difficult to be around. So we call the kind of nickname that we have for this person is a bridezilla. So it's about two bridezillas who are friends but fighting for the same wedding venue on the same day. Another one that I would recommend is The Wedding Date. I love this, and the main actor is very handsome. So The Wedding Date is, again, a romantic comedy. So if you guys haven't seen these, I would recommend them. They're sometimes on Netflix. And My Best Friend's Wedding is another very famous one. So I think it's the same actor as A Wedding Date. So I really recommend these three movies. Okay, so the next question is, based on your knowledge or experience, so perhaps you have been to a Western wedding, or perhaps you've just read about it or heard about it or seen it in movies. So based on your knowledge or experience, tell us one difference between Korean weddings and weddings in the West. So later on today, I'm going to be telling you guys some differences in how we conduct a wedding ceremony and so on. But I'd like to hear from you guys, first of all. Are you aware of any differences between weddings in Korea or in Asia in general and weddings in the West? And if you have been to a Western wedding, that's great. It's a very tiring experience compared to a Korean wedding, because I couldn't believe how short Korean weddings are. Usually you're in and out in like 45 minutes. But if you go to a Western wedding, it's usually a full weekend, and the wedding day itself, you will be awake for about 20 hours, even if you're just a guest, because we get up very early in the morning for the ceremony, which is usually around 10 or 11 o'clock. And then we have a big party, which is all day. So the last wedding I went to was my brother's, and it finished at 5 in the morning. So I was like a zombie at the end. Oh, payback. Yep, I've heard about payback, but I don't really know exactly what it involves. Too fast and too many people attend a Korean wedding ceremony. So yeah, I think Sunglim, I agree. Korean wedding ceremonies are very fast. And also, I think you invite a lot of people. So in the West, we only really invite our friends and family. So we know everybody who is at our wedding because we consider it to be really personal. But in Korea, like, I've been invited to weddings and I've been thinking, I don't know why I'm invited to this wedding, because maybe it's like a coworker's daughter, or so we usually invite people who are very close to us. So Apple payback is the traditional ceremony to pay respect to the bride and groom's family. Okay, yeah, so I know that in Korea, there's a lot of respect shown to the family and the in-laws, but in the West, it's not really so essential, so it's a little bit different. So in a Korean wedding, you don't need a maid of honor, Kang-sun. Okay, interesting. Rose, marriage ended 2 hours of the day in Korea. Yeah, it's so quick. I couldn't believe it. So the last time I went to a wedding here, I spent 2 hours getting my hair and makeup done. And then the wedding was only 30 minutes. So I thought, why did I spend so much time and money preparing for this? Okay, so most Korean people are not familiar with a bridal shower. Yeah, so I think nowadays a bridal shower seems to be becoming more common. It's actually more common in the West to have a bachelor party and a bachelorette party, which is not really as civilized as a bridal shower. Like, I think a bridal shower is quite calm, whereas a bachelorette party is very wild. So some people go to a different country for their bachelorette party, and there's a lot of alcohol involved and all kinds of craziness. There are a lot of movies about this. It's very fast, yet a lot of people give some money. Okay, we'll be talking about that a little bit later, Kwang-sun. Yeah, so a lot of people give money at a Korean wedding, which is very different from Western style. Okay, and my last question is, in the West, we have some superstitions about weddings. So superstition, if you're not familiar with the word superstition, I think the Korean word is mishin. So a superstition is like something that many people believe, but it's not based on a fact. So for example, in the West, there is a superstition that it is bad luck to see the bride before the wedding. So I know that in Korea, usually there are photo shoots before the wedding, but this does not happen in the West. So on the morning of the wedding, the bride and groom go separately to the wedding. So he should not see her before she comes into the church. He shouldn't see her dress. He shouldn't know anything about how she will look because it's considered bad luck. So I actually didn't know why this was the case, but I just researched it. And it's because in the West, we used to have like arranged marriages. So my father would sell me to a groom. And the first time he would meet me would be on the wedding day. So people were worried that if he saw me before the church and he didn't think I was pretty, he would say, "I'm not marrying you." So the tradition is that he wouldn't see her until she came into the church. So then he would have no way of backing out. He was forced to marry her. So it's kind of bad luck for the groom to see the bride before the wedding. So before the wedding, don't go to funerals. Okay, wow, interesting. I've never heard that one. Married people don't get bouquets at Korean weddings. So Rose, I think, yeah, this is a difference between the East and the West. Okay, interesting. Okay, any other superstitions in Korean weddings? So I'll remind you that a superstition is a cultural belief which isn't based on fact. So usually different cultures have different superstitions. So for example, in Korea, the number 4 is considered unlucky, but in the West, the number 13 is considered unlucky. So different cultures have different beliefs and different superstitions. So I'm wondering if there are any other superstitions about Korean weddings. Maybe there aren't. So as I said, one superstition in the West, it is bad luck to see the bride before the wedding. And I'm going to be introducing some other superstitions that we have in a moment when I'm teaching vocabulary. Okay, so maybe in Korea there aren't really the same superstitions as in the West. Oh, 29. If you are age 29, you don't get married? Oh, wow, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. Why 29? And hey, do you know the reason for this? Like, why does this superstition exist? 29, 39. Ah, so if your age ends in 9, it's bad luck to get married? Wow, okay, we don't have anything like that in the West. If the bride's friend gets a flower, she has to go to a wedding in 6 months? Ah, so it's a little bit, yeah, if we say we catch the bouquet, then so usually after the wedding, the bride throws a bouquet, and the first female to catch it will be the person who gets married next. So usually at a wedding, like women are hitting each other and really trying to compete to get the bouquet because they want to be the next one to get married. Oh, because of the number 9? Okay, wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for teaching me that. Okay.